That's right. Welcome to the side of them because it's time for Ringside. Got a lot of news. Got a lot of news lined up for you. There we go. So without further ado, we're just gonna jump straight into it. WRKD Wrestling is now saying that Randy Orton could, quote, return possibly even as soon as this weekend's Money in the Bank. So they were talking about a big upset, right? And they weren't saying that it had anything to do with Cody Rhodes or the LA Knight match. And I forget what I fully said on Twitter, but one of the things I was like, so that potentially means that Bayley or Becky Lynch could be winning the women's Money in the Bank. Because if you remember, Becky got to the top of it, you know, and she was like, yeah, that's right, I win. And then she talked to Rhea Ripley. That could just be planting seeds, right? You know, of just like other things going on. I don't 100% know. If it's not going to be Carlito, it's going to be Drew McIntyre. And if it's not going to be Drew McIntyre, it's going to be Randy Orton. And I know how that sounds. It sounds like I'm like, was it like a parlay or something? I can't remember. The point is, it doesn't sound like I'm on like a concrete answer. I think the most concrete answer is going to be Drew McIntyre because they want him. They've been trying to get him back for like the longest time. So I think Drew's more than likely going to be the big upset. But it's an upset. So like, oh, that's what it was. I was going to say, I said Finn. Finn might win because it's an upset. So if it's not going to be Drew, then it could potentially be Finn beating Seth for the championship, either clean as a whistle or via some type of like heel shenanigans. So I don't 100% know. It's really hard to say at this point. So I'm going to have to watch and find out. Sticking with Money in the Bank, WrestleVotes claims there are, quote, 2 very drastic finishes in play for the Bloodline matchup at Money in the Bank, but creative seems split on the decision. What's more, the Usos and Solo Sikoa did a run-through at a closed location to go over the match recently. So whatever it is, let's put our thinking caps on. The Usos and Solo Sikoa did a run-through. So there's obviously some type of sequence of events that is going to take place that needs to be rehearsed, at least in some capacity, right? Something is going to happen to the point where they need to go, all right, let's go down to this stadium and let's make sure we know what we're going to do, right? So that could mean, and it's the Usos and Solo Sikoa, not Roman Reigns. I don't necessarily know what that potentially means, but Roman is not involved. So that could potentially mean that whatever the Usos are doing, Roman is going to be not so much betrayed, but I guess like in terms of like, you know, what's been going on lately, yes, Roman is going to be betrayed. I don't know. Okay, it could also be Solo going on his own. Solo could be like going like independent, because it doesn't necessarily mean that like the Usos are, you know, doing something to Solo. Solo could be doing something to the Usos. Like the Usos could win, right? And then Roman could be like all defeated and blah 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 blah, right? And then he could be like, Solo, do something, blah, and then Solo could be like, bow, and then speaking bow, you know, like something could happen. Sorry, I needed to like go to that place for a second to like really think about this. Again, it's either gonna be Solo turning on Roman or Solo beating up the Usos, or no, Solo beating up everybody and just going on his own. And this is like his singles right now. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. Next, Fightful Select notes Judgment Day is beloved backstage at WWE, and everyone is incredibly happy with the progress of the group as a whole. I've said this multiple times, the Judgment Day is great. Every single one of the characters is so dynamic and different. And also, there's no like dissension. There's no, what's the word? Like fear that they're eventually going to break up. You know what I mean? There's no like worry in anybody's mind that one of them is going to betray the other. They are a very cohesive team. They work well together. Individually, they're fantastic. They are slowly getting, well, okay, not Dominic, obviously, but Damian, Rhea, and Finn have all had championship gold at least one point in their careers. So they have like the experience, right? And the tenure and the seniority and everything like that. Dom is fantastic. He's fantastic, right? Prison Dom, snivelly little heel Dom. He's great. That's what I'm saying. I love the fact that they all have their own individual characters and they're playing those characters incredibly well. So I'm definitely one of those people who definitely loves them belovedly, you know, backstage. And I mean, the fact that, you know, everybody seems to love them definitely bodes well for the future. Again, that might be the big upset. It might not be the big upset. We're gonna have to wait and see. But so far, yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I love them to pieces. Sticking with Fightful, they also said the goal for Dominic Mysterio is to make him, quote, a well-rounded wrestler, and that means having him work with a variety of opponents with different styles. You want that. You want to be able to showcase Dom in this manner of like, yes, it's like Chris Jericho. This is what I loved about Chris Jericho's heel run back in like what, 2010, right? Was that, yes, he was an asshole, but he was a good wrestler. It's like MJF. Yeah, the guy is an ass, but he can wrestle like, oh my God, he's such a good wrestler. He is just such a good wrestler. He is a fundamentally well-rounded wrestler. And that is what I love about MJF, and that's what I love about Chris Jericho, right? And that's what I love that they're doing with Dom. He can go on the mic and he won't even have to say anything and they'll boo him out of the building. But then when the match starts, he knows how to wrestle and he can wrestle circles around the best of them. And I really like that. And even if, right, his back is against the wall, he has Rhea Ripley or Damian or Finn Balor and they can help him out, right? And even, I think you have that. And if you can also have Dom win clean, they both complement each other because Dom is capable enough to where he can have a match on his own, and Dom is also in one of like the hottest stables going around. So even if he wins, he can still win via heel shenanigans. And even if he loses, that's still good too, because the heels are getting thwarted by the babyface. Like, it's all managing to work out. And I think Dom, out of all of them, is benefiting from this the most, right? And he doesn't even have to have a title. And he's still like one of the hottest, he's still part of one of the hottest angles. And also, he's like one of the top heels. I don't care what anybody says. I'm really glad to hear this. And again, it doesn't surprise me, and it shouldn't surprise anyone, that the Judgment Day is beloved backstage. Next, WWE claims Carmelo Hayes got applause at the gorilla position for his work on Monday Night Raw this week, which included a good match with Finn Balor. I like the way that they included him. I like that he was like associated in this very significant outcome, if that makes any sense. Like, he was in a match with Finn Balor, right? He helped out Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins gave him the rub on Monday Night Raw. He was on Monday Night Raw. He was in a match on Monday Night Raw. He was in the main event, right? That was the main event, right? On Monday Night Raw, if I remember correctly. They obviously have a lot of faith in him. Right now, they just have a lot of other stuff going on, but the fact that they are putting him in front of you and going, hey, focus on him, that obviously says a lot. So I'm not surprised that he got a standing ovation. So I'm definitely looking forward to what they have in store for him. So we're just gonna have to wait and see what that could potentially be. Finally, per Fightful, AEW may have tentative plans made all the way through All Out. That's what you want to hear. I don't even care if the plans don't even stick. The fact that there's scaffolding. The fact that there is scaffolding fills me with confidence. It fills me with this peace of mind, knowing that they are not flying by the seat of their pants. They're not, I feel like I talked about this. They're not coming in the day of and ripping stuff up. There isn't some random higher power who is contacting them via satellite, right, in the sky, and ripping up the script and making changes and that sort of thing. I like that they're sitting down. I also like that a lot of the wrestlers are getting involved too with creative and the outcome of certain things. It's not set in stone. And when I stay with me here, that means that when they get to it, it's like, all right, well, what did we say? All right, we said this. All right, let's keep this, but change this up. You know what I mean? When they get to the plan that they had initially made 2 weeks from now, they won't have to start completely over. They can be like, all right, what did we say we were going to do? We said we were going to do this. Okay, well, I don't 100% agree with that anymore. So let's just switch one of them out instead of having to start all the way from the bottom and then working your way to the top. So I think that is actually really good. And again, I don't necessarily know how much of that is going to stick, but the fact that they are doing that bodes well for the future. What do we talk about? Randy Orton return as soon as this weekend's Money in the Bank. Good. I'm happy to hear about that. I don't know if RK Bro is going to reunite, but the fact that Orton is coming back, that's obviously a good sign, and I'm happy for him, right? 2 drastic finishes. Either Solo is just going on his own, either Solo is going solo, or, right, he is turning on Roman, because the Usos and Solo Sikoa did a run through, not the Usos, Solo, and Roman. So Roman obviously does not play a factor in whatever this is, right? So we are just going to have to wait and see what that could potentially be, because right now it's up in the air, and I don't 100% know. Judgment Day's beloved. I mean, that shouldn't surprise you at all. Dom is they want him to become a well-rounded wrestler. I'm over the moon about hearing about that, because I think that everybody so far, at least in terms of character work, is doing absolutely wunderbar, right? So, but the fact that they want him to make sure that he's not just like a little snivelly heel wrestler, and I think that they also don't want him to be like a high flyer either, because that's what it makes it sound like, a well-rounded wrestler. Like, you want to be able to work the mat, you want to be able to work up top, you want to be able to work the mic, that sort of thing. So I'm glad that they are trying to make it as though he is not just like this one-trick pony. So I really like that. Carmelo Hayes got in a pause the gorilla position. He's a good wrestler. He's great on the mic. You know, again, they're putting him in front of all of like the big names, obviously, to let you know, hey, you know, keep your eye on this guy. I like that. And AEW has tentative plans. Well, it says they may have tentative. Either way, right? They're not just like, you know, we'll worry about it. Let future AEW handle that. They're not worried about that, you know? And I really like that. Again, tentative, so nothing is like set in stone or anything like that, which is perfectly fine by me. I don't really have a problem with that. Just the fact that there are talks of them planning it out, that definitely helps my mind. Folks, that's going to do it for this episode. Hopefully everybody has a wonderful tonight and a wonderful tomorrow. And as always, big hugs all around.